Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this Thursday afternoon. My name is Jonah, and I am from Discover, and I'm very excited to have Trevor Vaughan here joining us. Before we get started or running into any of the programming, I would love if you can hop in the comments. Let us know if you can hear us, if you can see us all right. Trevor, if you can holler out and just say hello so they can double check that
Hello,
you hear us.
everybody.
Hey. Just to set a couple expectations for today, feel free to call out in the comments where you're tuning in from, maybe how you heard about Trevor, how you heard about Discover. We love hearing those things. And if Trevor is moving fast, or if the dog comes in the room, or something grabs your attention, don't worry. There will be a replay. It'll be available on the YouTube page, on the Discover page, and emailed to you along with the course offer. So don't fret if it is moving fast. All of this will be available later to you. And also, we will have a formal Q&A near the end, but feel free to ask any questions as they come in. We'll try and hit them, but if not, we'll get to them at the end. Yeah, it's looking like everything is cruising here. So give a proper introduction here. Like I said, we have Trevor Vaughan, and he is teaching children yoga and mindfulness. Today, we can expect to learn to be able to lead one 30-minute children's class, one meditation, and one 10-minute in-classroom yoga class. Plus, you will be given a special opportunity to become a children's yoga teacher. And a little background on Trevor. Trevor Vaughan is the director of Yoga Renews Children's Program. He is a teacher and director at Hudson Seed, a company that brings mindfulness and yoga programs to thousands of children over 25 schools and daycares in the New York metropolitan area. Trevor, without further ado, I want to hand it over to you and let you take it away.
Hi, thanks, Jonah. You've been great so far. And my dog's not in the room right now. I have her picture there to keep us company, but I knew she's a little too active. But yeah, it's great to be here. You know, just being a children's yoga teacher. Actually, a little more background. I was a Wall Street trader for about 20 years, and I retired from my job because I wanted to do something that was more meaningful. And I got into yoga, and I was offered a job to teach kids at a local center. And I found so much value in that, just from first of all, it made me feel good. It gave me a sense of purpose, and I could see where the value could spread through the community and to other places. And it just really drove me forward. And you know, as I started a company and all that, I wanted others to be able to get that opportunity, and not as just an opportunity to teach a class, but to be able to sustain themselves. Like this is a sustainable job. Like you could actually go out and do this, and not do it as a side job too. Like if this is your passion, it's always good to make your passion and your purpose to have it unite. So just because I've been able to do it, I want to be able to extend, you know, what I know and help other people do it as well. So
absolutely.
All right.
Oh, cheers. Yeah. Did you want to? I know you had a presentation for us. Did you want to dive into that or anything?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, so this course is teaching yoga for children, and so yoga, meditation, and mindfulness, because all three of them, like yoga is actually all of that together. So we're going to learn the skills to teach a yoga class, to teach a small meditation. Like during this webinar, we're going to actually do a meditation, and then we're going to do some yoga moves that like you can bring into a classroom. Like something that's very tangible, something that's very easy, and something that, you know, will make it a profound effect on the kids that you know or the kids that you work with, you know, like immediately even after this webinar. So it's very simple, you know, it follows a program, you know, and I'm just, you know, follow along, maybe take some notes, but, you know, you're here, you've done the hardest part, and obviously you have an interest in children, an interest in teaching. I mean, that passion alone gives you a place in this room. So, you know, we're going to move forward and like see what we can share.
Well, and Trevor, real quick, I'm sure this is developed for children, but like all yoga, this is valuable for anyone of any age, I'm sure,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, like actually, the yoga itself is the same yoga. Like this isn't a watered down class. This is just a yoga. The languaging is different.
Mm.
That's very important. Thank you, Jody, you mentioned it, because the science behind it is exactly the same. We're affecting the body and the nervous system, and like the whole everything is done for the same reasons. But obviously, since we're doing a different audience, we have to address it in a different way. But the yoga is the yoga. Like there's no difference. It's not even yoga like. Like the moves and the breathing are all, if an adult does these moves and breathing, they're going to get just as much value out of it. And this is also designed for the teachers and for the parents, because how are we going to bring an environment to our children? Like if we're freaking out, you can teach your kids as much yoga as they want. They're going to learn from you. And you're the best example.
Right. So we have to walk our talk with this to make it work, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cheers. Yeah, well, let's dive in.
Okay, yeah, so like we were saying, we're in this webinar, I'm going to show you how you can bring yoga to children inside and outside the classroom, because, it's important. Like people think of yoga as like a class, but really the yoga is only in the class. It's valuable only in a little way. Where it's very valuable are the skills that are brought outside the class, like the social emotional learning, the general health and flexibility. Like all that exercise is very valuable, but the stability of the mind, like learning how to use your breath to control your emotions and your reactions. How many of us have said something that they wish they had taken back?
Right.
I know that is almost, I would think that's almost everybody. But when we learn yoga, we learn how to create that space of recognition between the thought and then the actual shooting it out. So like, instead of wanting to grab that, maybe that sentence back, we're going to be able to see it before it happens and stop ourselves.
I appreciate that. Okay.
All right. Well, like I said, since this is yoga, I mean, we got to turn off all your distractions. If you have a cell phone, I think, Jody, you have something good to say about this, right? Like if you have this on, if this is not going to work, you might as well actually just turn the whole computer off, because we're going to need your attention for this.
Are you? You're seriously telling me I can't scroll TikTok and do yoga at the same time?
No, and that's why I love yoga too. Is because kids cannot balance and do other things at the same time. Adults can't balance and do other things at the same time. It's actually one of the reasons why it's such a valuable tool. But just to be here, like the first rule of yoga is being in the now. That's like basically the first rule of yoga. So unless we are present, we can't learn anything, and especially just with this presentation. So please, I beg you to turn off all your phones and all that kind of stuff and stick with me. You're going to have some fun, and this is going to feel good. I promise.
Love it. I'm here.
All right. Why do we need yoga in the classroom? Well, yoga in the classroom is very important because, kids nowadays have different problems that they used to have. Like attention spans are a lot shorter. Kids come in from outside environments, and yoga is a way to center the class, to get them all into one space, and it creates better learning opportunities. And we're seeing a lot better results statistically when yoga's in the classroom. So not only there is a statistical, do you want your kids to do better in school? Yoga. Do you want your kids to be better behaved in school? Yoga. Do you want your kids to be more kind? Yoga. So there's reasons why we like it. There's reasons why, the schools might like it, but they're all, all these different reasons. They all work with yoga. So it's a wonderful way of doing things.
Yeah, well, and we spoke about this a little before, Trevor, but I actually had my third and fourth grade teacher. We did yoga. We did like 10 minutes at the beginning of every day and a half hour at the end of every day. And aside from her being our favorite teacher and a teacher I still remember, I think that's the most I ever learned in any class, maybe even from high school, was that third and fourth grade class.
Yeah, I was going to mention something about that, but that's coming up in a little bit because
Okay.
that's very important though. What Jonah is bringing up. But yeah, can we roll the next one? Okay. Yeah. So like I said, regular yoga practice, increases concentration, and like I said, it creates a philosophy for success, and then it reduces anxiety. I mean, nowadays the childhood anxiety is at an all-time high. I mean, we haven't even said the word COVID since this whole podcast has been, started, and everything is at an all-time high with anxiety and all these things. And yoga actually is proven to help all the symptoms of what's going on. Actually, the school systems now are mandating yoga programs and mindfulness programs. They started to do this actually around 2018, and they were really introducing them in Europe. Because of COVID, they're actually mandating these programs now. Like government funding actually is being given to schools to train up the teachers. So like a lot of teachers now, and actually 600 school teachers have already bought this program to, we already have, this is out already. And we're in school systems right now, and teachers are using it, and being approved by the government, and they're bringing it into the classrooms to bring mindfulness into the classrooms. And, if you want, I have all sorts, I have the school systems, you can ask me for examples, testimonials, and all that kind of good stuff. So
love it.
Well, like I said, but if you're here, you're probably not sure where you're going to start. So like I said, we're going to get relaxed here. You feel uncertain. You feel anxious. It's funny. My friend was doing these slides, and like those ones are kind of funny. I'm like, okay, I think I can come up with that. Yeah. So we were talking about my background. I was a Wall Street trader. So if you ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street, that was my job. Now it was high stress. And I would say I didn't deal with it as well as I should have. And, I got physically sick. And part of my recovery when I retired from there was I started doing yoga. And my doctors were telling me that, what my body was changing. Like one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this is because what it did for me to start. Like the proof is like in the pudding, sort of. So, I can make one other child not have to go through some of the stress and anxiety and give them the internal tools to deal with their problems, then, this is all worth it. I have trainings as an adult yoga teacher. I have, my 500-hour training for adults, which is kind of like the biggest one you get. I have my kids training. I have training to do people coming back from soldiers, so I've trained trauma victims, so I have all sorts of training. So our program actually brings elements and all different perspectives from all different kinds of trainings that I've done. And like I said, I actually have a running company right now in schools, and my teachers use this blueprint that we're using. So this is not theoretical.
Right.
Right now, there are teachers today, a good example today. I had to, I was doing an audition for a school in Jersey City. Now, so all the schools are coming back in September and October, and their programs were shut down for a year. So these schools were calling me up. So I go into a school, and I'm like, so what do I have to do? And they're like, do you have your materials with you? I'm like, yeah. They're like, can you teach 2 classes right now? And I'm like, absolutely. No problem. I'm like, what ages? They're like 3-year-olds and 8-year-olds. No problem. Because we have a system, and this system works. Like I said, we have it where it's scaled throughout the ages, but the yoga works on everybody, and we just do, there's added components when the kids get older, but anyone going through the system, it doesn't, you can do it on the fly because how it works with science. It works with the system. There's no guesswork involved. It works because it's based on science.
Right.
Yeah, there's, like I said, that's all that stuff that I told you.
Gotcha.
No problem. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and like I said, we want you to get, so by the end of this, I want you to have the confidence to be able to lead some yoga experiences with your kids, whether they be your own kids or with kids in a classroom, and also to be able to lead a meditation experience with them. Say you have kids at home, even before bed, using a little meditation before bed has been shown that the kids get better sleep, which makes them much more calm, the next day. It gives them all sorts of stuff. So where we're going right now is I'm going to show you all the elements, the patterns of the yoga class, and then we're going to go into the meditation, and then we're going to do the yoga in the classroom, which is the chair yoga. We're going to do some Q&A, and then I'm going to give you the information of the benefits of our course and how you could teach it with us. And let's do this.
Hey.
That's it. Then I send you on your way. So, all right. Okay, now Jonah was talking about this earlier. Do you want to be that teacher you remember when they get older? Now, I have a teacher. Her name's Miss Marchione, my 4th grade teacher. And I don't know why I remember her, but I remember her because of her kindness. But 40 years later, I still remember this fine lady's name. And everyone has that teacher. I mean, you could put it right now into the comments, your favorite teacher. I'm sure there is one teacher that you love, and I'm sure, it'd be great for you to actually think about it. And the great thing about Facebook is you can probably actually reach out to them, which I did, and tell them, hey, listen, you're my favorite teacher. But the skills that you will get in this program are going to allow you to be that teacher. And I think, that is something that, that's something very worthwhile, to be someone that could be ingrained in their deep experiences as a person who's shown them kindness, love, and some skills to get through life.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Maya Angelou, I do a lot of professional development for schools. And before I start, because a lot of times, when we talk about a webinar or I'm doing a speech or something like that, there's a lot of details. But, she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. They might forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And the great thing about yoga is kids and adults, they love the way they feel. And sometimes it's inexplicable. It's why do we like yoga? Sometimes, I didn't know until I learned all the background and the science and all that. But it just, there's something that draws you to it, and it's going to draw the children to it. The children are going to know that this is something that makes them feel good. And, this is a service that you could provide, and it's going to make you feel good because you made them feel good. Yeah.
Well, and you learn better when you feel better, right?
Oh, well, yeah, we're going to get into that. So we're going to be able to, one of the goals is we're going to be able to confidently bring a yoga experience to kids. Now, I say confidently, and there's a reason why.
Yes.
Well.
Oh.
Yeah. You're why should I be that confident that I should be able to do this? Well, our program, now we're going to stay on this one for a little bit. It doesn't follow trends. Now, so the thing about a lot of things that you buy or we do, or let's say things follow trends. This is hot now, now it's not hot. This is popular now. And those things come and go. They come and go, they come and go. And they're not reliable. Like I said, I went into a classroom today because this was reliable, and it doesn't follow opinions. I mean, opinions are, you know, like if I like chocolate and you like vanilla, so if I go into a yoga class, I'm like, this is going to be a yoga class about chocolate, and the whole class is going to be like, well, we all like vanilla. That's really not going to help. You know, this isn't particular to someone's opinions. So if the children have a certain opinions on something, or you have an opinion about how a class can go, it makes it irrelevant. And that's very important because we are not always right. And also, the one thing that I noticed that people are very scared of is our program's not linked to charisma. Now, what does that mean? A lot of people are introverts. Now, I'm not an introvert. I grant you. But like the thing is, I'll tell you an early yoga experience, and this is important. So when I first started, I was teaching, and you know, I knew a little bit about the science about it from my adult classes, but I taught my classes more like my Mr. Trevor. I taught it more like as an entertaining thing, and I would go into a class. The first class be great, and the second class would be okay. And the third class would be all right. But it's like watching Netflix. And by the 5th season, every series goes off the rails. You get bored of it. The novelty wears off. This is true about everything in life. We all know that things, if we're relying on novelty and bow, wham, or like, we don't give out stars, you know, because a kid will want 1 star one day. Then they want 2 stars the next day. And if you don't give them 4 stars the third day, they're not going to do anything. I mean, so this program is not linked to like charisma or reward system. And that's important because those are short-term things. And like in our society today, a lot of our bad habits are because we link our neuro, our deep brain and our neurobiology to very quick hits. Such as opening the email, the text, you just think like the likes. Whereas the yoga satisfies the deep likes, the joy, the safety. So we're this is not a fad or a trend or something that's, that's going for the quick pop. This is going for something real and, solid, deep.
Yeah, but it takes more work to get there, right, too?
Yes. Yeah, so like I said, our program is based on proven neuroscience and physiology. So yoga, 5,000 years old, and you're like, science. Well, it actually, what happened was, it was a repetition of these moves, and then over the years, they were taken up by different groups, and then we would see them. What happens is they would have yoga 1,000 years ago. They'd do some moves, and they wouldn't work out, so they would try some different moves, and then these would work better. So they started putting, and that's called the scientific method, actually.
Right.
So after a while, like in Darwin, the best moves, they were linked together. They actually back then, they didn't know why they were doing, which was so effective. But about 30 years ago, when we were able to start, putting like heart monitors on and like fMRIs, they were able to start proving the biology of yoga. Now, it was done over a course of time, and they weren't really sure how it got there, but it was done by trial and error, which is a scientific method. And eventually it's come to here, where we can actually prove it. I mean, anything that I tell you, that's a great thing. Anything I tell you today, you could go look out. There'll be something from Stanford, MIT, from Johns Hopkins. Like, this is not Trevor's opinion, none of this. And if I ever tell you something that's my opinion, please run away. Okay, so for our first, for our yoga class, where we want to get the students out of our seats, moving, breathing, being, I'm going to show you right now the pattern that we're going to use. There's a pattern, and there's a reason why we use this pattern. So this is where we start getting into like some of the more deeper stuff, and you start getting we're getting into the knowledge part of things here. So, okay. All right. Yeah. So of course the simple movements link together. Like, so we want them to release the anxiety and excess energy. So that's the physical stuff. That's the obvious stuff. And that's very, very useful. But there are other reasons. But that alone, if that was the only reason why we did yoga, that alone would be enough. But there's so much more that's going to happen. So, like I said, we lead a class in an order because we want to activate deeper parts of the brain and the body, such as like the cardiovascular system, the endocrine system. And that is only done when we do things in order. Like, you've been to IKEA before, right? Well, I'm sure you've been to IKEA. Now, if you put part 4 in before part 2, it doesn't work. But for some reason, if you follow all the parts, at the end of it, you have your desk or your chair or your lamp or your bed. Yoga is exactly like that. It's very much a system of order. You're turning on switches, you're turning off switches in the body. And we're going to go through the order right now. So by doing this, though, we're moving the students from the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system. So these movements, so when most of us walk around in fight or flight, which is the sympathetic nervous system. And we want to get the kids, we want to get ourselves into the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's actually where we heal. We heal physically, we heal mentally. Some say we would heal our souls, but I mean, the sun, like I said, you can put the heart monitors on. This is where the deep healing happens because our bodies are like creating more white blood cells, all that good stuff. But at the same part, so you have the prefrontal cortex, which is when you're in the fight or flight. So when you are in that, that's when you're pumping cortisol out. Now, cortisol is what makes you want to run, makes you want to hunt, and it actually, like, cortisol over a long period of time causes heart disease. It causes obesity because people will actually gain weight because the body is thinking back 50,000 years ago when it's stressed. Usually people were stressed 50,000 years ago because they couldn't find food. So they would store fat. Right. And that's why if you're stressed out, it's really hard to lose that extra 10 pounds. Yeah. So, yeah. So, and then of course, the other part of the brain too is in charge of creativity and deep. So if you want to do some really deep, and that's where you have long-term memory too. So when we have children do yoga in school, and we're putting them in this situation, in this state, we're actually setting them up for deep learning, and they feel safe, psychological safety. Okay, if you are not feeling safe, or a person or child or whatever, it's very hard to learn because you're worried about your safety, obviously. You're worried about what's going to happen. What's going to happen? When you're paying attention to your environment instead of paying attention to what you should be on. So when you're not in psychological safety, you are scanning the environment for danger. And that becomes, the brain prioritizes that over anything. It hijacks the nervous system. If you don't feel safe, the brain's like, the most important thing is to stay alive. So you don't really need to know what 2 + 2 is right now. Right. So when we do yoga, we put them in the parasympathetic nervous system, and it sets them up, for a wonderful experience. And then, like I said, children will look forward to your class. Maybe at first they won't know why, but they're going to know why. They're going to know that every time they go there, their shoulders can drop. Right. They can smile. they feel safety. Like, children love to feel safe. Even the toughest kids. A lot of times, the toughest kids are the toughest kids because they don't feel safe.
Right.
And they're acting out against their environment. So the people that are, show bullying or show, different sort of trauma responses, it's because their environment has created an unsafe space in their mind, where yoga actually penetrates that because it uses the body to get out of this part of the mind.
Right.
It backdoors it and gets them into the safe part of the mind. And they want to feel safe. And they're going to be kinder to their friends. Right. And then, like I said, and then, learning becomes fun. Kids like to learn. They're curious. So, like, when they can learn and it's fun and they feel safe, things are better. All right. So, first part of class.
Hey,
how you doing? So we have to welcome. So when you have a yoga class, there was the guy who invented Western yoga said your class starts from the second you greet the students. You were setting up the environment. Now we talked about psychological safety. So if you're going to have a yoga class, you want to look around and you want to make sure that like the environment is safe. If you're in a classroom, usually it's pretty much safe before you get there. But you want to make sure that it's clean, a clear space. There's fresh air circulating. The lighting's good. There's not too much ambient noise. I mean, it's better to practice than not practice. But like being aware of the environment and like setting up the environment for a welcoming space is always good. And if you're teaching a class, to get a list of everyone's names. Because I remember, and I know that all kids, every class, we should refer to the child one time. You might think it's just a throwaway thing, but every kid will be like, that teacher mentioned me, they called on me again today. And every day, it's a little thing. It's so small of a detail. But if you do that, you are on the track of being their favorite teacher. I promise this. Because they feel seen. I mean, children don't feel seen. I mean, they're small. Like a lot of times when they're behaving what we would call poorly, is because they're just looking for attention. So if we make them feel seen early, they're not going to be looking. They're going to be more engaged in your class later on. Mm-hmm. So next, what we do is very important. We always start the class with a breathing experience. So we breathe. So we would either get them in a circle or at their desks, and then we would take 3 deep breaths together. Now, later on in the training, there's like 10 different breaths you can learn. But it's very important that you have one dedicated breathing moment, whether you put your hand on your chest, you put your hand on your belly, you breathe in, you breathe out. You can do it with me 3 times. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. Now, everybody is in the same spot. Everybody's bodies and minds are on the same plane. So it grows that kind of, it's a community experience. Serotonin, oxytocin is produced as a positive benefit. So then, we would do some stretching. You could do you don't necessarily have to be yoga moves, because what we could do for stretching at first is we have them like crisscross applesauce, or if they're sitting at our desk, we'll show you some moves later. But we would just do some side leans, maybe some cats and some cows, just some small motions, some twists, just to get the body moving. Because we want to get the joints moving first before we get them actually moving. We want to get because kids need slow transitions, because they get hurt when they go like this back and forth. So transitions are very important. Now, if you have little kids, so like my 3-year-olds today, singing's great. I love to sing. I have a terrible voice. The one thing too is kids don't care.
Right.
They do not care. If you get your phone on Spotify, there's a million kids songs, and that's what I do. I have like you just type yoga kids songs, pick 2 or 3 that you like, and like my voice is terrible, but you sing with reckless abandon.
Right.
Because they will know if you are faking it.
Right.
If you're a fraud, then they'll stop paying attention to you.
Right.
But if you are truly bought in, they'll really enjoy the experience. And also that also activates, it gets them into the parasympathetic. It's a hack. It gets them into the parasympathetic system. Right. So, singing is a very good way of it. To sing, it gets rhythmic breathing. It gets the body moving a little bit, And then we were talking about some of those other warm-ups as well. So, and then we go into the next part. All right, so we would do some standing poses down. So like these things are called sun salutations. So what we do is we would actually, I'm gonna stand. And so at the top of the class, we would just have them all stand here. And this is how you start an adult class. Like I said, yoga is yoga. So we have them stand at their sides, called mountain pose. We just have them gently be like, hello, kids. Can you say hello to the sun? Hello, sun. Breathe in. And then we go, hello, earth. And breathe out. Now we do this a couple times. Hello, sun. Breathe in. And hello, earth. Now, if you have a little bit of an older class, you might step back into like a plank or something like that and do an upward dog, a downward dog. But we do that 2 or 3 times. And that is a way to get the body and the breath linked. The body and the breath linked. And like I said, transitions are very important. And then next, after we do that, we would start doing like the standing poses. Like the standing poses are like the poses that you normally see in a class. I mean, like just a couple examples. Like you would see people do like the warrior pose. Like the kids love the warrior, right? You have the knee bent over here, like that. Well, I don't know if you could see me like this, but like, or the triangle pose, which is every kid likes to do that.
Right.
And so like, there's a list, and you would think that there's thousands of poses. There really isn't. There's about 50 poses, which we do have listed out for you. And they're very simple. Whatever body type we are, we do not have to do anything perfectly. It's not important for you to do it perfectly. It's not important for the children to do it perfectly. One of my adult clients is a New York Knick, plays basketball, professional NBA player. He does not do it perfectly. Now, it's not important. It's the fact that you come to do it, and you just are there to move. So with children, especially nowadays too, we don't really physically adjust them. We let them, we guide them with our voices. We'll show by example, but we let them kind of do what they have to do unless they're doing something dangerous, which then we immediately stop. But physically touching the children is definitely not on right now. Right. Especially with COVID. It's just for now. So balance poses. Now, depending on how old the kids are, there's different kinds of balance poses. I mean, most people have seen the tree pose. That's where you stand up like this. Now, if you were like, and you put your leg up like that, you go like this. But if you cannot balance, some people can't balance. You can leave your foot on the ground, and it's the same thing. For little kids and balance, actually, I don't have it on me. So what you want to do is, balance is about single point of focus. When you're balancing, you're only thinking about one thing. So sometimes I get like a little medicine cup, and I put it on their heads, and I just sit there. So I did that with the 3-year-olds this morning. Now, for an adult class, one of the reasons why, balance is important, you're like, well, I'll be teaching an adult class, and this works with kids. It's the same principle. And I'll have people in some crazy position, and I'll be like, okay, who here is thinking about their taxes right now?
Yeah.
And no one. So like balancing is important to get. So right now, so what happens is we went from connecting the body to the breath. So that gets us into the parasympathetic nervous system. Then we get into the focus part. We get into the focus part. And this activates a different part of the body now. So like I said, we're starting to hit different switches. And this is going to hit this switches of concentration and connection. So this is when people start feeling more aware. Like I said, this is going to help with the classroom. This is what's going to help people be in the present moment. You're not going to be thinking about the past or the future if you're worried about falling in the now.
Right.
So yeah. And then after that, we would do some back bends. I'm not going to do the back bend for you right now, but I'm going to tell you about. I'll tell you about it, and you're going to know exactly what I'm going to say. The back bends for kids. Backs for children are very sensitive, and I tend not to do lots of deep back bending for children. It's not to be advised, but there is one back bend that all children can do, and all children love to do, and that's you have them lay on their bellies and they do like superhero pose.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that is a back bend, and that is enough of a back bend for them. Or maybe they could grab their ankles and do a bow.
Right.
But like we don't have them do the ones with the wheels or anything like that because we do not want to injure the children. There is enough poses out there where we're going to have enough variety. And like I said, if we build our classes in a certain order, you'll always get through enough poses. And if we keep it moving, you're going to have no problems. And then to end the class, we bring them back down, and we just start. We have them sit down, and we're going to bring the nervous system back down because class is over. Most of the action was happening in the standing pose, the sun salutations, the standing poses, and the balance poses. So that could last about 15, 20 minutes, and then we start settling them down. So forward folds and seated poses are very good because it gets them lower to the floor. It gets their minds into a certain state. And then we're lengthening the spine. Lengthening the spine allows for the nervous system to relax. And then this is important for kids. Very important. We usually like to tell a story. Now, a story could be a theme. We could have a theme. We could actually start a class with a theme, maybe a theme for the class, like say love or sharing or something like that. And then we match it with this story. So from this works, from the ages 3 to 12, definitely. So with the smaller kids, very simple themes where, when you get up to like in the 8 to 12 lesson, there could be like a deep moral story where you can have more. And then what we do is we have a little bit of a question and answer thing. Ask them, what do you think happened in the story? And we let them participate because we want them to participate in the class. Because if they participate in the class and they have input in the class, they're going to want to come back because kids are always wanting to participate. And then, depending on their ages, we would have a meditation, maybe a 2-minute meditation. And then we always have, it's very important to have a final rest. Final rest, we have them lie down. And, we invite them to close their eyes. They don't have to, obviously, because we never, some children might not like that. They might not feel safe. And, we do a little bit of quiet breathing for maybe a minute, maybe 2, depending on their age. Maybe we could build that over a period of time. And then we have them sit up crisscross applesauce. And we come up with a mantra, which is sort of like a positive affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one I use is we go with a hand here and a hand here. And we say, may I be happy?
May I be
May
happy?
I be safe? Oh, yeah. Here.
May I be
safe? Yeah. May I be brave?
May I be brave?
And I go, may I be strong?
May I be strong?
May I be loved?
May I be loved?
There you go. And that would be the end of class. But then we have to make sure if you're not in charge of the class, there has to be a proper transfer of the students to. We have to lead them out.
Sure.
Like the class is not over until we get them out of the classroom safely in a good space. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So our duty is not done until they leave completely. All right. So and now a little bit of a meditation. So I'm going to ask you guys to join me in a little quiet meditation here. So hopefully this could end your day in a nice way. This is something that you could do, and when you listen to what I'm saying, very easy. You could do, like, this is something you could do right now with somebody else, like right afterwards. So we would either be sitting on our we sit on our seats like this. You could be lying down, but I'm going to lead it as if I'm sitting in a seat. So what we would do is we would ground our feet, put our palms on our thighs. We're going to roll back our shoulders. And then we're going to do what's called a body scan. So we start breathing in through our mouth, inhaling and exhaling. You can close the eyes if you want. Inhaling and exhaling. And we're going to relax our left hand, our left thumb, our second finger, our third finger, our fourth finger, and our fifth finger. Relax the left wrist, the left forearm, the left elbow, the left bicep and tricep, the left shoulder, the left hip, the left thigh, the left knee, the left calf, your left ankle, your big left toe, your second toe, your third toe, your fourth toe, and your pinky toe. Relax your right thumb, your second finger, your third finger, your fourth finger, your pinky finger. Relax your right wrist, your right forearm, your right elbow, your right upper arm, your right shoulder, your right chest, your right hip, your right thigh, your right knee, your right calf, your right ankle, your right big toe, your right second toe, your right third toe, your right fourth toe, your right pinky toe. Relax the top of your head, your eyes, your right eye, your left eye, space between your eyes. Relax your nose and your cheeks. Relax your face and your tongue. Relax your teeth. Let your back two teeth separate. Relax your jaw and your throat. Relax the skin on your face, your neck. Relax the back of the head. Relax the spine. Relax the shoulder blades, your upper back, your lower back. Relax the bottom of your feet. Breathing in, breathing out. Inhaling and exhaling. Becoming aware of our body on the inhale and exhale. Inhaling, feeling love come in and all the stress and anxiety flow out. We're going to take 3 more cycles of breath, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And we're going to gently open our eyes and come back to the room. That was pretty simple, right?
Yeah. That's so nice.
That's so nice.
So nice.
And it's definitely
Oh.
yeah, how did that feel, Jonah?
Oh, so good. And just also, I didn't realize like how tense my left pinky finger was.
Yes.
You know, like
Yeah, you don't even think about it.
you don't.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's good is too is and like anytime we do breathing or like a lot of things, and during the yoga class, this isn't an adult class where there's music playing. Ask the kids questions. Like they'll be talking to you. There's no cone of silence going on. Like they're like it's not like one of those classes. It's not a very it's a very much a we like to keep it one at a time, of course, but we ask questions and you ask directed questions to people, or else you might get 10 of them answering at once, which you will have. But giving them opportunities to contribute is always important, and it helps them learn it more as well.
Right. Oh, that
all
felt
right.
good.
Yeah. Well, we just did that.
We just did that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Here we go. And then the last part here. Let's see. I need to do something real quick here. Because I have some poses that I want to look at.
Oh, thank you for that. I already feel a million times better in my day.
Good. I'm glad.
Well, it's so rare just every time I stop and breathe, it is mind-blowing how much breathing can do alone.
All right. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to do some so these are some poses that we could just do so a lot of us are going to be in a classroom. So we're not going to have the luxury of working, in an open room or anything like that. But believe it or not, having a chair actually gives us a lot of leverage at times. And you will find yourself, some of the twists actually being very active. So if you're in a classroom and you want to do a yoga class, and this is a great, little break for the kids. It's a good break for yourself. I mean, I could be the guy on the airplane. You're like, oh, come on now, really? But so I'll be doing my little twist. But so anyway, these are a couple simple moves. So a sun salutation you saw before. So what we could just do is this with the kids. We raise our arms like this, and we stretch back in our seats. Yep. And then we breathe out, and we lay over. And we relax the neck. It's very important to let the neck go. And then we breathe in. We come back up again like a wave. You can say, hey, we're on a roller coaster. That works very well. Anytime you can bring some sort of fun thing like that out. All right, we're coming down the roller coaster again. Breathe out. And linking the breath to the motion is very important. So in yoga, the cheat sheet about breathing in and breathing out, and then you can do that about 10 times. So this is like this is a cheat sheet for yoga. When you are doing something that is expansive, something that makes yourself bigger, in a real, in a yoga class, 9 out of 10 times, that's an inhale. That is a good rule to follow. So anytime you're doing something bigger, you're like expanding. That is when you inhale.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So like if you're in a class or because sometimes you get confused, you're doing something new, you don't know whether to tell the kids to breathe in or out. If they're doing something that's going to make them like bigger, like up, we tell them to breathe in. If it's something that's going to make them smaller, to breathe out. And if you mess up, the best part about this is don't worry about it.
Right.
You are doing service. This is better. This is better. Anything that you do is better than this.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
Anything at all. So if you're off on that, like the fact that you're showing kindness and service, do not worry about the details. Perfection is in the imperfection. This, I promise you, some of my best yoga classes are classes that have gone off the rails. And some of the most, because a lot of times too is we can't learn from perfection.
Right.
It just doesn't happen, right? Kids won't learn from perfection. So what happens is, this is actually good. Children will see how you react to an imperfect situation. Now, if the yoga teacher reacts to an imperfect situation with grace and calmness, they're going to see that that's a great way to react to the same situation. Because things are going to go wrong, and they're going to go wrong often. But how they react, how you react. And if you're working in a school, if you're a teacher and you're trying to do classes for a principal or a school system, like say for my company. One time I went in when I was first starting, and I was doing a demo, and I didn't go as well as I liked. How about that? We'll just say that. We had a couple of outlier children that were running around doing what they're going to do. But, I kept my calm, and then the teacher, I just figured, oh man, I just blow it. And so I got a call from the director, and she's like, how do you think you did? I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm like, I did my best. I stuck with the routine. She goes, well, we gave you the worst class because we wanted to see how you would react.
There you go.
We're like, we now can trust you with our children because we saw that you dealt with it the right way with grace and dignity. Because things are going to go wrong. There is no perfect situation. And so if we could teach this to our kids and also live this in our own lives, we are going to be well served.
Right. Right.
So like yoga's for us too. I mean, the yoga is definitely for us.
Well, and focusing on how you interpret, not necessarily what happens, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and we.
No, yeah. All right. Yeah. So how do we do all this? So I get, how we do all this is we can do this through, Yoga Renew, the company that we're doing this digital teacher training course with. And there's some details involved. And now we're going to get into them. So like I said, we want to be the most meaningful teacher. We want to be the teacher that is remembered. Now, because we are doing things that are hooked into science and not just charisma, these are experiences that they will remember forever because it'll be so deeply ingrained in them. So it's just by following what we are doing here, you're just going to be embedded into their DNA as a person going forward. You'll just be part of them because you're going to be showing them the skills to get through life, and they're going to remember you.
Right.
All right. So yeah, part of it, so we have different modules, and in schools nowadays, like one of the modules is about social emotional learning. It's SEL. For any teacher out there, if I didn't mention SEL, you'd be like, well, we can't use this program. SEL is basically the hot topic. It's in every school system now. It's being mandated, SEL training. And so, in our training, we have a whole module that deals with, social emotional learning, its components, and the tangible ways of how yoga deals with that. So the very important, I know, like I said, we talk about the government and schools funding programs without SEL. Like we have a lot of our teachers who have brought this to their principals, and the principals are reimbursing them for we've gone directly to schools, and school systems have bought this, but then we've also had people just buy it randomly, and they've been able to go to their principal and get reimbursed because the components of the training fit into what the schools, what the school's trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, learning the link between movement, adolescent health and wellness. Yeah, I mean, we talk about the different age groups because, 3-year-olds are different than 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds are different than 7-year-olds. We make all those distinctions. We do a little bit of basic children's anatomy. And, there's certain things that are different about children's yoga than adult yoga. Like the children's necks are very, very fragile. And we're very safety conscious, very safety focused.
Right.
We err on the side of safety at all times. So by using our programs, we got you covered.
Right.
That is one thing. We have you covered on that. We would never recommend, everything that we do is double, triple checked, and it is done with safety first. And if that's the check mark, it doesn't go in there if it doesn't, get past that check mark.
Right.
And then of course, yeah. Now this is important. This is very important for me. Linking your passion to your teaching, your why, finding your why. It's why are we going to do this? Not the why of why is children's yoga good for kids? I mean, that's awesome, but this is your life. Why are you doing this? And if you can connect, and we have like I said, a module goes deep into it where if you can find out why you are doing it, this is going to make your language with the kids. This is going to make your engagement, your joy, your quality of life. I mean, it doesn't just, it's just not something, it's not some skill we acquire oh, I'm taking a course in basket weaving. Now I'm going to take a course in yoga. No, you know what? A good basket weaver, I shouldn't say anything wrong, is a good basket weaver. And if that's your why, that's your why too. But what I'm saying is, but this could tie into your purpose and your passion. And a lot of people are finding this, but we're going to help you explore that. And I think that was very important for me, and that's been very important for a lot of my students. Like I said, we're going to be able to bring things into the language of students. Now, what's the difference between this program and adult programs? I like to say that other than some of the the fact that it's in the classroom and we have the social emotional learning, I'm proud to say that yoga is very similar. This isn't watered down yoga. This is the real deal. We just have to use languaging differently.
Right.
That's the important thing. I mean, I don't want to give, you don't want to teach some kids something that we're calling yoga now, and then when they're adults, we're like, no, that's what you do when you're kids, and no, they're actually learning yoga.
Well, the practice they can keep building on, right? Their whole life.
Exactly. And we have the 50 different poses when we have them adjusted for kids, and they cover most of the adult poses. But like I said, done in the languaging and in the way where kids can do it safely and cues. And also, one of my teachers, Julie, who works at the Harlem Children's Hospital. She's one of their she's just a volunteer there. She works with children all the time. Like, she leads this whole section. And if this woman is joy. I mean, if you want to see how she's leading it, she'll give you all sorts of tips on how to bring, like, you'll see good examples of how to lead a joyful class.
Love it. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, and then yoga games. Actually, I should have mentioned this before. Yoga games, we pop yoga games in there, right? You're like, oh, don't they play games? Well, a yoga game isn't in the pattern of things, but we give you these games, because what happens when things go awry? Well, when things go awry, we put in a yoga game. Things that are very yoga based, but we get to kind of like tie the class back and get it back on its course. That's what we use yoga games for. So we give you a bunch of good yoga games, very popular, that are fun, that are easy, like that anyone could do. Like, say, anything that we're going to show you, you're going to be able to do or lead very easily. That'll help you get your classes back on track. And you should and actually your kids are going to probably ask for them anyway. Right. And then Julie, my other teacher who was working on this, is she's a professional storyteller. So all throughout the training, there's these wisdom tales and the art of storytelling. Kids connect to stories. Because why do they connect to stories? Because they can see themselves in the stories. So learning about morality, basic things, like we talk about morality. We talk about different things through stories, through examples. I mean, they used to have parables, right. And these are age-old techniques to help kids learn and connect. And then, of course, they're going to be more connected to your classes.
Right.
And then, like I said, we have our sequence, which is scientifically proven. It's proven over 5,000 years. It's proven by the old science, and it's proven by the new science. Right. And like I said, you can rely on it. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert or you're an extrovert. It doesn't, it's not going to go out of style in like 3 years from now when, some new yoga style goes out. It'll always work. As long as we're humans living a human experience, it will work.
Right.
And then, and then the last part is, since I actually started a successful yoga business, there's different techniques how to find opportunities to teach yoga and actually make a living of it. Like I said, I quit Wall Street and I do this, and I'm doing pretty good. Like, you can do it as well, and it's not as complicated if you follow some steps. There's, like, right now, kids are looking for, like, schools need these opportunities. They are looking for people to do this stuff. So you just have to know how to present yourself, how to look for them. There's different ways of doing it. You might just not, when you see how it's laid out, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. And then of course, in the training, there's different ways of doing it where you'll know who to approach. And like I said, it's a pretty comprehensive process. Well, where I'll help you, maybe give you a potential to like make this your career as well.
Right.
And let's see, we did the why. And there you go. And then like we have some, we have a couple people like Ivy. We have a couple of testimonials here. So like they're putting testimonials up there. I actually have testimonials from like program directors and stuff like that. If you need anything like that, please contact me. I'm going to leave my Instagram thing in the chat as well. And you could always DM me in my email. So, option one is obviously you can stay confused or you can follow the roadmap. We have the roadmap. These are the names of the modules, right? So you have understanding developing child, what is children's yoga, like how it differentiates from adult yoga. The meat of it is, the next two would be the meditation, the breathing. So we have, you learn about 10 meditations, 10 different breathing practices, and some mindfulness stuff. And there's 50 yoga asanas, which asana means the poses. And then included on that, so there was 50 of those. And then there's 10 seated classroom poses. There's 5 games. And then there's like teaching methodology, which means how we go into classroom management. For teachers, you already know classroom management, but someone like me who went in there, I had to like learn the do's and the don'ts like the hard way sometimes. And then of course, there's just certain realisms about today, like a good example would be, for in the training, we call it the rule of 3. Like, there's always 2 adults in the room. Always.
Right.
That's how it is. But like, it might not seem obvious to you, but there's certain basic rules that if you didn't think about, if, like you said, if you're not familiar with it, that we point out to you. We're going to keep you safe. We're going to keep the kids safe. And then, then we go into the business of yoga as well.
Love that. Okay.
And like I said, Yoga Renew always gives you basically a shot for a refund. You show us you do the work, you go through the course, you don't like it, we give you a refund. And the course normally costs $199. Today it'll be $150. Pre-pandemic, all these things were costing in like over $1,000. But I'm actually glad that it's much cheaper, because my goal is to get 1 million kids doing yoga in 2022 who haven't done it. When I started my company in 2018, my goal for 2019 was to get 10,000 kids doing yoga, and we did it. Then I was lucky enough during pandemic to run into Yoga Renew, and they have a huge platform for adult programs, very, very big, very successful, and they've been able to spread it to people in 30 different countries. So my goal is, for every time I figure a teacher does a training, maybe 50 kids, maybe 100 kids get it. So I'd love to be able to tell my mom that 1 million kids got yoga through this program, and you could be part of that. I would love for you to join our community to bring yoga to children. And we have a large community with Facebook groups, and like, we're very supportive. Like I said, my company finds jobs for teachers. Like, we have a very strong community, because at the end of the day, the goal is to get kids the yoga, especially because of COVID and all that. This and more than ever, this is very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, we have a couple more, just testimonials. Some people went through our program. Like a lot of, also, I didn't even talk about it. A lot of people, they love it because it's an asynchronous training. I didn't say that. So it's all done online. So it's 30 hours, so you could do it at your own pace. That's why a lot of principals and a lot of school teachers really love it, because with the times where with social distancing, this gives you all the tools to do this at home, and you could do it at your own pace. So it's perfect.
I love it. Okay, awesome.
And like I said, these are the 2 options, and then Teachable has a link, and then that's it. Like, we want you to start with us, and I guess that would be the end of our webinar for today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trevor. Well, and for everyone watching, just to be clear, the link for that is in the description and in the comments, and will be emailed to you as well with the replay. And Trevor, we're bordering on time here real quick, but First off, I just wanted to thank you for sharing all of that. Also, thank you for the meditation. My day got so much better already. And I did want to ask for people, because I love where you're at. There's so many different styles of yoga and so many aspects, but many of the people in my life have found yoga later in their life when they're already trying to fix problems that have built up their whole life. And I love coming about it from teaching children. And I'm curious, for those teachers and everyone who are excited to get into teaching kids yoga, before we part today, do you have any last little words of advice for people getting started on that journey?
Well, if you want to just if you want to make a deep impact right now, I mean, getting people at a younger age is just super important because, like, unfortunately, like when we get older, a lot of these things are baked into us already. And if you really want to make more of an impact, it's like the sooner we get them, the sooner we get the kids to doing this stuff. Like, the Dalai Lama once said, if we taught every 8-year-old in the world how to meditate, in one generation there wouldn't be war.
Right. I buy that. Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I actually, could I leave my email and my how do I do it?
Oh, please do. You can drop it into the comments there.
I don't see where I can leave it.
Or I will do that before we're done with the event here. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And then I have my Instagram. I'd like to put it in there too.
Absolutely. I'll make sure both of those are in there for when the video is available for replay.
Wonderful.
And we'll have all of that. And just, can you call out your email for people listening so they can reach out?
Yes, sure. It's Trevor, Trevor, at Yoga Renew Teacher Training.com.
Love it.
And then the IG is Trevor, Trevor, Vaughan, V as in Victor, Aughan.
Love
and
it.
Please hit me up with any questions. I'm at your service.
Well, we'll make sure that information is in the email going out to people as well. And thank you everyone for watching today. If you like videos like this, please like and subscribe to the Discovered channel. We appreciate, Trevor, appreciate so much you spending time to share this with us. And I appreciate, as someone who had yoga early in my life, very much that you're spreading this. And I hope we get the 1 million kids doing yoga in 2022.
That would be awesome.
Cheers. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you all soon. Have a wonderful day.